Yo! What up? How you doing? So, I thought, I haven't done anything on this car in a wee while. I've done quite a lot of other videos, so I thought I'd kind of just go around and give you a wee summary about all the things that I've done to this. So like, properly talk about all of it, suspension, engine conversion and everything. So for any of you who don't know, S14 with 1UZ in it. So I'm just gonna just go around and like point stuff out, probably miss loads, but if there is anything I do miss, just put it in the comments, like down there somewhere, and I'll try and answer them. Right, let's go. So what we have here, so 200SX, it was can't remember if it's Cookie or Zenki. I think it's a Zenki now. Anyway, the lights are different. Used to have the rounder lights in it, but I like that more aggressive front end. I actually think I now like the round ones, but I still got them, so they might go on it. But pretty much most of it's fiberglass. This was I think it was a Rocket Bunny front bumper that I've cut. So it was meant to be for the ones with the round headlights, but I've cut it and made it work. This still got a metal bonnet, but a big fiberglass bit put in. That was just to give me a bit more. That was actually for cooling. I did want to make sure, because it's got a big V8 in there now. So it's got a 1UZ. So if I can open these latches, which might work or might not. Right, hang on, let me find something to jam this open with. My handy pole. Right, there we go. Oh, hang on. Get the ceiling, guys. Right, there you go. So, and here we have the 1UZ. So, bodywork wise, cut all the metal out of the bonnet to save a bit of weight. And we have a 1UZ sitting in here. Now, this 1UZ is totally standard. Internal wise, there's nothing been changed to it at all. When I bought the engine, I was told the heads had been pressure tested, and then they were put back on. But still got standard internals and standard pistons in it. Now, if I can insert a dyno graph in here, which I will hopefully have done, it made some pretty good power. I think she was like about 280 without nitrous, and then 320 with nitrous. But the torque numbers in that were, like, as you can see, the torque was just fantastic. Even from like down low, it's just got so much torque. And you see that she revs out, but then after 5.5, they fall off. They all do that. It's the cams in there, so I'd like to do the cams, but that's the pretty expensive thing to do at the moment, so I'm not going to do that first. But so let's talk about the things that we've got going on in here. An electric power steering pump. Now, the power steering pump on the 1UZ used to sit here. It used to leak, and it would leak down onto here, and then it would always wreck your alternate air. There didn't seem to be a solution that like you could get one to work, so we just got rid of it. I believe that is an Astra pump. And that comes on as soon as I turn the engine on, or as soon as I turn the kill switch on. One of the things with my car is it was like make it super simple. I just like didn't want the muck with things, so turn the power on. Basically, the fans start working and the the water pump as well starts going. It's an electric water pump, but we'll get to that. And the power steering just goes. So they just, and then the only thing I have to worry about is I've got a fuel switch that I can flick on and off, but that's about it. It's pretty much, it just runs. Now, I have I've got some great manifolds that were made for this car. They're totally custom things. They're not, they weren't they weren't off the shelf parts at all. So you can see both come out here. Now they all collect, and they collect right in the front here. And as you can see there's a manifold for, or a flange even, for a turbo. So that's kind of why I'm doing this video, because tomorrow this thing goes away to get turboed. So I thought I'd go over it all so you could see it all. Now we've got big space in the front here, pretty big for, because this is all designed to make sure that I had it, because we always knew it was going to go turbo. So the turbo will go in there. Now we've got out front, we've got an oil cooler and a power steering cooler. Keep temps nice and cool. I have a remote mounted oil filter that goes here, and then this has got a couple of sensors on it. I've literally just put this oil pressure sensor on, and this was just basically an idiot switch, so that would just register if there was if the oil pressure was low, a red light would come on the dash. And so these are Audi, I believe, R8 injectors, and they fit really nicely on the 1UZ as well. They've got a kind of, so you can pop this one off. See, this little rubber boot here, that fits perfectly down on there and gives you a really nice seal. So, because one of the things is they don't, they sit about proud, so you can't really get the thing on there. So that means you get no water going down into your spark plugs. Got some big pipes here. These are heading out to the back of the car where the radiator is and the water pump. Fuel pressure regulator. I think we're running, this is now actually, we disconnected this. A car's not running that. And then now my alternator. This alternator was then, instead of going for a brand new system and things, what we did is this alternator, we took to an alternator guy and he uprated the power on it. So it's now like, he uprated the internals. So I think we're like I can't remember, it was 180 amps or something like that. But it's a beefy alternator. We've never had a problem with. And that means that instead of like having to try and get something else to set up, and it wasn't like mega money either. Like, it was, I've seen guys who are buying like Jay-Z ones that are, and it was like, I think it was about 180 quid or something like that. It wasn't mega money. It was totally, that was a really good thing. And like, to be able to use the same bolts, not need to make a manifold or any kind of a brackets and things like that was great. And then it's super, like, so exhaust is super simple, just runs all the way down here and straight down. Now it's facing straight down. One of the reasons it's facing straight down is so that if it basically means the exhaust is a bit quieter. There's noise is blasting at the bottom, but it's not massively loud. Like, it's not loud. I've got loads of videos of the car, so go check the rest of the channel out. There's stacks of them up there, and kind of sounds a wee bit like a NASCAR as well with those manifolds. It's a good sound. Like, some of the 1UZs are not brilliant. Like, it can sound a bit sort of meh, where this one, like, it's got a little bit of crispness to it. It's really cool. So other things, right? Fiberglass headlights. S14 headlights are expensive, and I broke too many of them. I've got like a collection of them over there that are glasses smashed on. So I just decided to go with getting one of those. Getting a set of those, way cheaper. Got some funny like chameleon tape stuff on it. Cold air intake, which just with the way the exhaust was and things, this definitely helped. There was a pipe running from here all the way down to here, so there was the intake was coming in there. It's come off, but that helped with my intake temperatures. If you're sitting in line and the exhaust was there, the whole place just heated up too much and it wasn't working. But that is now going to be coming out here, so we're going to have a turbo inlet will come in there. The other thing, now this is running on link, so a custom loom that's in there. There's a map sensor, so we've got a wee link map sensor. Now that is then what kind of controls the car, because that is, we were going to go turbo, so there was no point in keeping the original stuff, so the car was built to just have that. Literally there's a couple of wires we need to add into the link to make this thing become a turbo, and then there's a lot of piping and stuff, but electronics wise it's there. You've got an air intake temperature sensor as well. That's well funny to watch in the dash so this is a nitrous system, so a Zex Nitrous system. Now I'm running a 50 it's a 50 shot at the moment, and this 50 shot is like the air intakes temperatures when this comes on, they drop down to like minus like 10 and stuff, and you get a proper kick from this. I didn't want to run too much on this. I was like going to be costs, it starts to cost a hell of a lot. I think we're like $60 to fill a tank, and when you're sitting on full throttle, that stuff goes pretty quick. Now the way I use this is, and I've got a video on there, but it is literally I think about 80% throttle. This comes on if I flick a switch in the which basically arms it, so it knows as soon as I go to 80% throttle, that comes on. Get a wee bump of power. Like bay wise, there was a little bit of hammering around the bell housing I think to get this thing in, but it wasn't mental, and there was a bit of stuff needing to be done to the cross member to get it all set in, but I'll lift the car up in a minute and I'll show you that stuff. So I thought let's move on to suspension. So I've got these set to like 7 clicks from soft, and then this is set to just bang in the middle. The ride height on these ones are like, I have them set to the highest setting they go, and these are running like an 8K spring. We'll get some better light on it. And I'm running a set of Geomaster hubs. The brakes are from I believe they're a Z32, so a Nissan one. Big beefy things. They could probably do being changed out, but I've never had a problem with them. The arms, I've got Driftworks arms all round, and some Japspeed tie rods, and I have offset rack spacers, which I definitely want to change, because the problem with offset rack spacers is that they just go loose, so that needs to be changed. I need to cut the subframe. That is like one of the I need that mod done. That is one on the top of my list. Then I set off, what do you call it, braided lines, all that turning and things like that. A set of lines like that really helps. And that's about it. Now what suppose little things that you can see in here. Now with all the lock I've got, I still am getting a bit of rubbing. Like you can see, I've had to chip away this bit here. So all along here has been cut, so you can see where it wasn't. That's where it used to come out, and it's had to be cut all the way along there, and then it's just been welded over. Also, I've had to bash in this sort of lip here. That's need bashed in, and then you can also see just at the front. Again, I had to just cut away. Be a wee bit here that's been cut away, but this is where I'm still getting some rubbing here, so I'm looking to try and stop that. You can see it on this is the wheel I'm running. It's run some rotos and that's what I'm getting. And what I'm going to be doing is I can't run. It's still on quite a, so my settings on the car, this is what I've got now. So we couldn't get it to less than that. With the way the car was set up and the way the sort of top mounts work, it was still running an air wanted to maybe like take a wee bit of that out, but we couldn't. This is where we were stuck with that. So I'm going to look at kind of doing what they have with the Wisefab stuff. I've got some GK Tech top mounts that will remove that whole thing out, and then that will allow me to bring this wheel a bit further out as well, extend the lower arm a bit more. So I'm hoping that is going to then completely stop that rubbing there. I'd stuck these on just to try and bring it out a touch more, because I didn't want to be I couldn't pull this out, but I didn't want to offset it. So this in theory should bring the whole wheel out and then give me a little bit more space. I've also, as you can see, I've taken away the bump stops, which is I'm finding that sometimes it might be a wee bit of binding on there when it just rolls over, and you can see where this is clobbering there. So I should probably put them back on, but once I've got the GK Tech stuff on, I'll look at doing that. So wheel wise, I run 18s. These have got an ET of I believe it's 12. Does that say 12 there? Yeah, ET 12. And yeah, I run rainsport 3s. In Scotland we have loads of rain, and I find they're great. There are a lot of guys running some rally tires and stuff, but I've never had a problem with these. These are seeing a bit of life, so they probably need to be swapped out before the start of the season. And size wise, these are a 225 40 18. I don't feel I need anything wider than that. I get plenty of grip from the front of this car. Fiberglass wings, a little bit of an extension on them. I can't remember what they were, if I'm honest. Fiberglass, whatever that is, I just picked that up, I don't even know. Some over fenders, which I cut here. I tried to put some vents in here to you see on the other side there was it was a terrible idea, because essentially his first D-lam happened, they just exploded and it was all dead. Again, Geomasters on the rear. The ER series, what do you call it? BCs. Now the ones I've got, now I found with these ERs, it was so low. I didn't like the way the arms are sitting on it. So as you can see up there, I have made some spacers that go up, and they were, I think they were about 70 mil or something like that. It was a decent sized spacer that brought the whole shock down and gave me like the kind of ride height, because the problem I had is like these arms weren't like, they were all up, they weren't sitting level, and I wanted the whole back end to be level, because you know that's one of the things, if you've got a lowered car, then the whole thing ends up like all the arms kind of sit up, and that's not how the suspension was designed to work. So I've kind of raised it all up. I could have extended these a bit more, the spacer I've now put on allows me to run like these at like sort of middle height, so I could have made that spacer long, but I wanted to have some sort of adjustment, so I kind of worked out the ride height I wanted, and then put these in, and you know, but this worked really well. Like I get loads of grip from the rear on here, so I ran a little bit of toe in, and then the no camber on these, so it's all zeroed out. Traction rods just the standard length, and yeah, she's got diff wise, I'm on an auto 3.9, which I think I might want to reduce down to like something like a 3.5 or a 3.3 with a V8. It's just got so much torque, I don't know if I need the 3.9. So rear end, ducktail spoiler, I like the ducktail stuff, and then like a Navan bumper. It's a fiberglass thing from Driftbits, like it's been smashed. Again, I'm taking these lights out. I have a fiberglass bit to come in just so I don't break them, but that one's broken anyway, but it's possibly savable. But can we get this thing open without? Hang on a second. So this is the inside of the rear. Let's get kind of over here so you can get a decent view of it. So I got a big Japspeed radiator, and I built a cradle inside the rear chassis legs, so cut the floor out and that, but I didn't go for a whole tube end, because I didn't think I really needed it with the chassis legs still there. Until the chassis legs are buggered, I'm keeping it. So this cradle has this Japspeed radiator had to be modified, so we've put like this angle on it, and then that allows you to run this still flat up. This then is one of the lines that goes all the way to the front of the car for the coolant. They're running, here we go, an E87 Diesel manual fan. So that's like a fan from a BMW, and I think it's a bit of a monster. Fits really nicely in there, so the cowling as well still works. So I kind of tried to reuse that. BMW must have spent a bit of money on their cowling idea. So, and then we've got another pipe that runs all the way down to the water pump that's down there. Now originally we had the water pump sitting up in here, and it just didn't work at all. It ended up with real like kind of bleeding issues. So but now that is where the nitrous bottle normally sits. The one reason I used to have a nitrous bottle in the car, but with drift cup rules and that, you need to have like an exhaust, so if your nitrous bottle goes over pressure, then there's a release valve on there, and they want a thing that directs the nitrous out of the car. I couldn't get one in time, so I just went and quickly put it in the back there, because I was out. If it's out of the cabin, it's fine. The thing about that though, I also quite liked it, is that I was moving a bit more weight back, and so I did want to get a bit of weight over the back of this car. And I think that's where, I think, you know, so this was didn't mention about the coils. So I run a 4K spring on the rear, so it is really soft, so it squats, and it's a fast car. Like what I've noticed is when I don't know if it's quick off. I don't know if it's massively quick off the line. I don't think I've got that dialed in. But when I'm on drift in a corner and I press the accelerator, like the car just gobbles up the space between people. I find it's a really grippy setup. I found that it's actually, I can dial more grip into this car than the engine can overcome. So running maybe if I'm on, I've had it if I've not run nitrous, the car just it won't tear the rear wheels off. It is really difficult to do. Where then that extra little blip in nitrous has made it, you know, it was with the car really gripped up. It's still able to break the wheels loose, but it can be a bit like throwing it about to really make it happen. So a grippy setup is the short answer to that. I have put a big hole in here which allows some air to come in. I've also got what else we got in here? Just still running the standard fuel pump. Well, not the standard one, it's a Walbro in there. I think what's the standard 444 or whatever it is. Yeah, I probably got that wrong. And then, you know, just tying everything down. It is all tied so it doesn't rattle itself free. And then we've got just down here, we've got a water pump. So it's a Davies Craig water pump. Having it down here was the best thing. We were having loads of problems bleeding, but because it's now low down here, when you fill the radiator, the water goes straight into the pump and then fills the pump up. If you let those things run without any air, without in it, I fried mine. So having them nice and low has meant that we've had no problems whatsoever with water moving around inside the car. Cooling's been brilliant. She will start to heat up a touch if you go crazy with her, but it's not overheating at all. And as soon as I think I would struggle to get the temperatures too hot without, I think the tires would be dead before it's I think there's maybe been a couple, like a super hot day and you're doing like out for proper 5-minute sessions. If you're competition, it'll never get hot at all in competitions. But if you're maybe out doing like a private day and you've got like unlimited track time and you can just go out and do as many laps as you want, then you could, but it is difficult to do, and you're going mental, and you should cool your car down if you're going too mental on it. The other thing I run here is both sides. We've got some NACA ducts, so they just some pipe work that goes into the back here. That really helps with the airflow. And right, let's have a wee look inside. Done a few of these mods quite recently. I haven't even really got a chance to tech, but my Grip Royal steering wheel. I didn't get anything too deep a dish because I got quite long arms. I really like the Sparco seat, but I think I might be changing out to try and get something with a bit of a curve round to it. I've collected the wall a couple of times and rattled my head, and at the moment that's not going to stop that happening. I also find that, so I just had some rails kicking about with an adjustable with some sliders on them. These are too tall for me now. My head is too close to the rollover. God, I can't even speak now. the roll cage. And so this needs to drop down. Like I know I can take a lot of height out of this, but it just needs to come down so I fit in it a bit better. Now I run. I've got my Link Storm over there. I went with the Storm because I was going for the because I was going turbo. It's got a few more inputs and a few more outputs, so I just wanted to have a little bit of extra playroom. Also allows us to do maybe also rig the nitrous in, and we can run the nitrous off the Link as well, and whereas at the moment it's just sort of a standalone. And then my dash, let's have a wee look at the dash. So the dash, this is really cool with the Link. So car's not on because I've even taken the battery out of it, but literally this is just like a £60 a dash. Now it is a Linux. There you go. I think it was a 1020 or something like that. Let's see if we can zoom in on that just in case. And I found that, you know, this worked really well with it. Yeah, I think it was a Linux 1020, but it's a good wee dash, like a good wee tablet. I run, so there's one USB that goes to the Link, and then there's another USB that goes into my, what do you call it, into here. You've got let me see if I can get some light again. Right, there you go. So you can see just down in here, I've got a little USB point that allows me to, that basically is the powers this. So the USB is just wired into the battery, and then that allows me to have a couple of chargers. I got an iPhone cable in here for charging the phone as well, which is really useful in competition, so people can send you your qualifying runs. Now to mount this, all I've done is I've got like a rear mount for a GoPro. So turn this round. So see in there, that's like the back for the case of GoPro that I've just cut down, and then I've just got some GoPro mounts. Like they come with like super sticky stuff, and I've just glued that in. So as you can see, it also makes it kind of easy to get in and out of the thing. So it's just sitting on a little beam there. And I literally just unscrew this, and then I can take the whole dash out and have a look at things. I've also, so the other thing I can do with this, which is really handy, is like, so it's a touchscreen dash, so you can end up like, you can change things on the fly while you're so you can check out things. And then also there's a wee sort of clip-on keyboard which you can clip on, and actually that keyboard will sit in, that keyboard will sit in there, and if you know what buttons to press, you can get shortcuts to the Link stuff, so it can give you some, like, it's really good for checking things as far as like when you're testing and things. Like, you don't want to be bugging about that with that in competition, it's just distracting, but for testing I found that being really useful. Cockpit wise, I've got this IRP gear stick. It's great, like it locks out fifth and reverse, and it's super notchy. Like reverse, you press the button, there you go. Not seeing, I can't even remember where reverse is. I think it's over there. And then you've got a couple of screws down here, which means that you can adjust how far the gear stick moves from left to right, so you never miss a gear, and it is super clunky. It's great. What I've just done is I was running you get them standard sort of black hydros, and I was running that in here, and I found that because they were literally the same height, I was getting confused. I would end up grabbing it. The other thing I have found is that I really like it when I've got my hands up here and a bunch of all the cars I've driven. It's great when you just got your hydro just right beside, right with those super short jumps, so you're in your in corner, you can get to it really quickly. So just this is literally the handlebar from a bike. So I doubt I'm going to be able to break that. It was designed for a mountain bike for doing dirt jumps. If I'm going to break that, it's going to be pretty impressive. And I got a bunch of switches. That's the ignition, fuel, wipers, useful. Heaters, I've just got, so I couldn't fit the heaters, the original heating matrix in there, so we've just got with the pipes going through, so the pipes for the water came through and it meant that we couldn't get it. If I'd done this again, I would have made sure that I kept the original heaters for the dash, and that's just for when we are in Scotland. Like, it gets wet and it gets steamed up, but it still works. But I use quite a lot of Rain-X and anti-fog just to try and help with it. But it, like, if you've got a car that has a proper ducting system and it works, don't change it, keep it. It's really useful, and because you'll never be able to design one yourself that works as well, or I've not seen very few that have done that. In the back here we've got my battery box without a battery in it because I've been moving cars and I needed the battery for another car. I made a wee panel up here, kind of covers up that, and then my, what do you call it, a seatbelt bar. God, I can't remember. Anyway, fucking, that's where the seatbelts mount back to. Now that is the mounting points for the chassis, and I've just basically made a bar, and then there's a nut that screws in there. So it was instead of trying to fabricate something or put it up in here, this worked quite well. But it's quite a good angle for stuff. So that's worked in. Plumbed in fire extinguisher. I kept my old hydro. No, not my hydro. My old handbrake still works. It's really good. Like, the Nissan ones are brilliant. And like, if that ever breaks, and I've still got this, which I've used before. And then I've got a little switch panel here. This is just for lights. And I've got some disco lights under the car. We do some night things. Kill switch. Another fire pool. On switch. I mount this as well, so when I got all my GoPros on, I can literally press one button and it starts all the GoPros. It always doesn't always work. Free fuse box. Now I'm just in the process of doing, like, adding a label to each one of these, so I know what they all are. Just for like working with a car going forward, it's really handy to know. I think that's about it in here. I still have electric windows, but they don't work. So why have I still got them? Yeah, I should definitely remove them. And I think that is her. Hold on, I'll show you the lock that you get on the with the Driftworks stuff. Just before we go, that's on full lock. Obviously we're in there, but it's decent. It is a decent amount of lock. But that, you know, once you lower the car down, it's not like that. So I think that's everything. I might be wrong, but I think it is. This has probably been really long. It might be useful to some of you, I don't know. Like, I thought, like, guys sometimes when I watch videos and I want to find out everything, there's little things. Oh, I suppose we haven't looked underneath the car, so I'm just going to lift her up and we'll have a wee look at a couple of the bits underneath about how the 1UZ fits in. Okay. Alright, under we go. So here we have the, oh no, God, it's so manky. She's been used though. It means it is tested. This is not a show car, by the way. So we got the manifolds that run there. They run to a V-band. So you can take this whole front section off. You see where the sump sits. Now, one of the things with that sump and the position of it means that you were kind of screwed for any anti-roll bar. So I've not been able, my anti-roll bar does not fit in anymore because the anti-roll bar used to sit here, and like with all this in the way, it's just not. But I've not had a problem with that at all. The mounts, kind of as you can see in there, they're just basically taking off the old ones, a couple of brackets. We've got some solid bits of aluminium in for engine mounts, and yeah, now she's mated up to a ZF gearbox. So the ZF box is there you go, there's even a number for it. Look at that, that's pretty handy. So you can zoom in on that. I don't know, that'll be useful to anyone? Well, it is, there you go. So it's a Drift Fab gearbox to engine, or adapter plate is the right words. It's good, really good. What you do find is you have to, with the starter motor for the 1UZ is right up here. Oh, hang on, my phone's in the way of the light. It's right up in there, and you have to sort of notch a bit out of the top of the bell housing for the starter motor to engage. I'm running a modified bracket for the regular. Actually, no, it was that is the standard Nissan one, but modified at a different height to make sure it worked with this gearbox. I'm running like a clutch from CG Motorsport. It was a BMW clutch, so I sent them the flywheel down, and they and it was running a M5 clutch to start with, so I sent them that down, and they measured everything up and gave me back some twin plane monster, which is good. Then we've got so this is the original gearbox mount. Oh, fuck, I can barely speak now. It's got the original gearbox mount, which which has just been modified, so it will take the standard BMW mounts. So it's, there shouldn't, if you need to buy a replacement mount, it's easy. And then you can see the PMC adapter, or the PMC shifter, runs onto there. It's been that was slightly modified as well to make that work. And then we've got so it starts Nissan here, ends BMW here. Now we've got the two-piece prop, and then this part of the prop was cut and then changed so we could have so it would now bolt into the BMW. The BMW flanged, and then all the way back here, it's all Nissan stuff. Yeah, the entire rear of the car is all Nissan. All original S14 things. Oh, almost falling over. And I'm not really too sure what else. I still run my standard fuel tank. I think it's quite handy. It's not found, like, I like how low it sits. I like the chances if I want to get more weight in the car, I can. Like if it's wet or something like that, you can actually fill it up with fuel and you get some decent amount of weight. It's all sitting nice and low. I've never found starvation problems with those tanks. I make sure it's always try to keep it above half really, but I find it's really good. And yeah, I think that's it. Still running a brand new steering rack. Ooh, sexy. So yeah, I think that's us. So if you guys, I hope this has been of useful to some of you. I kind of wanted to do quite a long one just so I can go over everything. It might be boring as sin to a lot of people, but I think for a lot of people it might be kind of interesting. It shows you how to do it. It's not difficult. That 1UZ fits in there really nicely. There's a good amount of work and stuff like that that needs to make it like. But now the plan for this car now is that we're going to throw a turbo on it. We're not going to go for mega horsepower. This is not. I don't run in the BDC or any of the sort of big championships. I don't need a massive power car, but I want a decent bit. So we're gonna see what I want to see what it'll do. I think there's a ceiling of 500 for these things that I've been told once you start turbocharging them on an engine that's had nothing done to it. I think there's some quite simple mods like just putting in some ARP head studs, but I'm just kind of I'm not going there yet. That's not that engine. Maybe there's another engine over there that might be getting a little bit more treatment, but just to keep it nice and safe, reliable car that's got a decent bit of power and super easy to drive. So the next time you'll be seeing this car, it's going to be getting some work done to it. Get a snail put on it. Make some mega power. Okay, right. Hope that was useful. Do the like, subscribe thing. They're all down there. And there's a bell thing. You want to press the bell thing and you get notified of the next video.